Hey everybody, thank you for being here. Just getting ready to get my color picked up and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, I mean. Hey Disregard, how are you? Thanks for being here. color and my clear glass. My apologies, I forgot I didn't have my microphone with me, on me. Hello from America. It is about just after 1 o'clock here. Hope you're having a good day, evening, I mean. Thank you for being here. I just did a process called pulling cane, which is a method of stretching out color with a little bit of clear surrounding it. And as you see here, you might be able to see, I'm going to chop it down. Now it's been stretched out. It's cool enough that I can just tap and break, tap and break, tap and break. Now, I'm going to let this cool a bit more before I chop it down more. We're going to chop it down another time into about pencil length pieces. And we're going to roll those up on the outside of a bubble made of the same opal white. We're doing white on white today. We're doing some color tests to see the way that the opaline and alabaster colors look. So stick around. I will be back with you all in just a minute. I'm going to cool this down. Thank you for being here. Don't go anywhere, okay? Designer or glassblower. I think when I first started making glass, I really just wanted to make pretty things. I'm learning more about how to apply the particular processes in order to achieve the goals that I might want to. So my philosophy has changed in terms of being able to make what I want to now, as opposed to making what I potentially thought that was the best I could make. So I like to craft my glass in a way that makes me happy, whether that's building a large sculpture or a happy cloud goblet of some sort. But it's work that makes me happy, and that's not so rooted in the idea of being what I think is historically pretty and what taught me the techniques. I think I'm able to diverge from that a bit. Creative work is always more fun to plan out with your team and understand as a team, because it really feels a lot like working in a kitchen, for instance, when everybody has a time-sensitive project that they all have a part to complete as they go. And when it all goes smooth and you're set up well and you have a great team working with you, it seems like easy work. There's a lot of different ways to interpret work, and as a craftsman, I tend to focus more on the technical aspects of work. It's hard for me to dwell on my work too much. I tend to move on to the next project pretty quickly so that I can keep myself fresh and take on a wide variety of projects. I learn from my work as much as I can, and I always try to decide how to make it better next time, what I could have done better, while not beating myself up and realizing that I'm still doing just fine with it. It's getting in the oven, and I'm still learning. I come into the studio, I have the most beautiful park to walk into. It's always quiet, and you can hear the nature coming down the hill as you walk into the park. It's a really serene place to be in the mornings. So I'm very lucky. Hey, gang. Thank you for being here. I told you not to go anywhere, and you didn't. All right. So we're going to go on over to the knockoff area. Not the knockoff, the color area. We're going to chop up some canes. So I have two different kinds of white that I'm using today. Here, alabaster and opaline. This bag, this big bad dude, is my chopper. So it's got an arm that sticks in here. You can decide how long to make it and chop it. And just for the sake of brevity, let's go ahead and do the next three all at once. Boom. Boom. Okay. Now we have our canes. Let's clear off some. Now you remember these are not actually enamel white, these are alabaster white. So they're going to have a little bit of a transparency the thinner that they get. I'm going to take the thickest pieces out, looking for consistency. And I've pretty much got it. Move the thick pieces over to the right and the thin pieces to the left. Basically just looking for anything that sticks out next to the one next to it. Okay, nice and consistent. We'll get a lot of usage out of that. And now I'm actually going to go pull another stretch of cane. It's going to be, there's quite a few times when you do this part of the process where you're actually grinding, and, cutting and chopping and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of easy ways to just, honestly, it's like just touching the table the wrong way is going to get it, you're going to get it. So, but they're always pretty small. You know, imagine like working in a kitchen. You get little things here and there, but it's not so bad all the time. The better you get at it, the less you cut yourself, the less you burn yourself, and the safer you are with it too. I mean, just time spent with it in your hands is going to make you safer. It's called a post. That's what I use to stick the end of the cane to. I need it to be a little smaller than the diameter of the pipe, or excuse me, the diameter of the cane that's going to fit on there, so it'll touch on, smush out like a Hershey Kiss, and then stretch out evenly. And this is going to be nice and cool, and that will stop the cane from overheating. It'll stay nice and cool on the post side, and I can use that to stretch away from the original punty. So now let me go ahead on in here and get just a little gather of glass. We're going to peel this back and pick up another chunk of color out of my oven. Okay, this is a different German company that makes color, and this is a different color called opaline. The last one was made by a company called Kugler, and that was alabaster, and now we're trying Reichenbach opaline. So I'm going to keep them separate so I know what's what as I am using them, but I'm going to try the two different versions of cane on the outside of these blown shapes and see how the colors look, see how the saturation looks, see how the transparency looks. There's a lot of things I have to figure out for this order of lamps that I just took. So this is day one of color tests. See, I'm superheating this chunk of opaline so that it will just liquefy down, and I can roll it out on the table here and it will turn into more of a finger shape. But when I went to pick it up, I used a little gather of clear glass, which was hotter than the color was. So you might see how quickly it moves around on the end. There you go. Like that chunk of color really moves quickly on the end of the clear because the clear is so much hotter. So I'm only trying to heat up the color if I can. Then I'm going to spend a little extra time down here cooling the clear. Then I'll go back and heat up the color and cool the clear. Heat up the color, cool the clear. And that way the temperature throughout the whole mass that I have here will be more evened out. See, just by pushing down nice and hard and level to the table, it elongates into that. Well, I guess it's more of a thumb right now. We'll make it more of a finger. Looking for a long, narrow cylinder. One way to get it is to sit down at the bench and get it that way. Actually pinch. Stretch the glass out just gently away from the iron. Oh, these are not my tweezers. I forgot about that. Ooh.
So there's my little finger-shaped marshmallow. I'm going to take that and gather up clear glass on the outside. But before I do, I need this to cool down. I say cool down, I mean more down to like the 1,000-degree range instead of the 2,000-degree range that it got up to. So I'm just giving it time. Hey, how's my focus on that camera? Are you catching it clear? All right, either way. No, it's not that bad looking into the oven. There's different kinds of glass blowing out there. There's this furnace work, in which case the worst thing for your eyes is really just the heat that hits you. So really all you need is clear glass in front of your face, or safety glasses, you know. There's another kind of glass work called torch working, which is lamp working, which tends to be on a smaller scale. You'll see people sitting at a table and using a torch that's like aimed away from them, and they just kind of heat up little bits of glass at a time and attach it. Different than this furnace work. That torch in particular does put off a flame called a soda flare, which is bad for your eyes when you're a torch worker, because they look at that flame for so long. It's not good for your eyes, and if you wear the right glasses, called titanium glasses, they will completely cut out the soda flare. So when you're actually working with the glass, it looks like you're looking through the flame and you're actually seeing the glass absorb the heat in a very different way. You really need to see it to believe it, but that's what titanium glasses are for. There's also a welding shade that is an option. And you might see over here to my left, actually you can't see it right now, but on my heat shield here at the glory hole, I have a welding shade that I'm looking through a lot of the time. That's not completely necessary, but it's nice to have. It's a little more soothing to look in. A lot of furnace workers will choose to use the titanium glasses for their furnace work, even though it's not completely necessary. But there's a lot of people that will use torches, you know, in this, so they need titanium flame. But there we go. Okay. I'm stretching and stretching. I've got it braced on the bench. You might have seen there's a little move I do where I lay it on the bench and force my jacks down over top of it to kind of friction fit it into place. And now I'm just slowly drawing it back, feeling the resistance. I don't want too much resistance because I could easily just pull the bench all the way across the shop here. I'm trying to make sure it stays put and all the stretch comes out of the glass. I'm trying to make sure I get the most usage out of my side as I can, because that's already stretched off down there, stretched out down there. This is where the pull is really coming from. Now, I'm going to lay this down, snap it off of here. Actually, I'm just going to lay it down. I'll snap it off in a minute. Come on over here. Get some wet tweezers and just pinch and tap, and that breaks off there. I'll do the same down here. Ding. Now I've got some left on here. I'm going to use this. See, it's shaped kind of like, well, it's just a snapped off version of my post with the gather on it. So I'm going to heat this thing up extra hot, stretch it out, and get more use out of the color. The other side wasn't really worth using. This is an old technique, but more often than not, you see two people doing it because you'd have one person creating the post while you are doing your cane marvering and reheating. But sometimes you gotta do it by yourself. So I don't need to do much here. I just need to chill this glass out down here. Now I can build more heat up top. Before that thin glass overheats, the top glass will heat up again. Yeah, right? Actually, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. For about a year, I tried in the spring making cane into chopsticks and bundling them together and try to sell them as a little pair of chopsticks. Nah, they never sell for all the effort you put into that. It is not even worth it. Nobody wants them. Basically because they're glass, they're too slippery. So it makes it not good for hair. Makes it not good for actually using when people start to imagine putting glass in their mouth, using it as a utensil. So it's purely decorative, and if they're not super amazing, which you probably put a lot of effort into, it's not worth it typically. But torch workers, like I was explaining before, they certainly have low budget, easy ways to make very nice looking chopsticks. And in fact, whenever I do get some nice chopsticks or nice pieces of cane around here, if I need to, I'll use them. I'll make chopsticks out of them and use them for a day or two. See, I had all the heat built into the thicker glass, and that's actually what's stretching out right now. And it just breaks right off of there. Put that down in the bucket, let it break off of there, and we'll use it again later. Now we'll snap all this stuff down, and when it's cool enough to touch, we'll take it over and chop it up like we did with the other. Ooh. Oh, that might be incompatible. Curious. The glass can break a certain way and tell you where the stress is in there. And there's a lot of stress in that glass. But it's so thin and drawn out, it's not going to be such a big bulky part of the rest of the piece that it probably won't be a problem. Oh yeah, it's definitely easier with a helping hand. You got somebody here to do half the work with you? Yeah. I've just had to figure out ways to do things solo, so. When you have an assistant, it's a whole lot easier to pull twisty cane, for instance, or you stick them together, the post and the original together, and then you just spin it as you walk backwards. That's much, much, much easier with two people. But I do it anyways. Sorry, I'm just seeing a lot of stuff around my shop I need to get tightened up here. And I can go ahead and make my roll up for my first piece of it, my first trick of the day. Okay, we're going to do just a simple 6 cane roll up. This is a groovy plate, aluminum. I'm going to spread these out as even as I can and then measure to make sure I have the right diameter set. My pie divider is right there. There we go. It's hiding. So let me show you what this is. Whoops. So I've got my 6-part cane roll up here. If you measure one side as if there was an extra piece there, so you measure to that far side. Imagine the extra pieces there, and tighten this down. Now that diameter is the right diameter to get a roll up, and have this roll up next to that with a gap next to it so that it'll be even all around. Now this goes here, and I'll measure that later as I go through the process here. I'll measure against that, I mean. Now I have to get this in the oven. Nice. Now this cane is probably cooled down enough for me to touch and chop. Yep. Good stuff. Okay, there's the opaline. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, this color I think is incompatible, but I'm going to keep going with it. It's just acting not happy. Okay. I think we good. Let's go ahead and start making stuff. I'm going to make a piece or two. We'll take a little lunch break, come back, and keep working all afternoon. Sound good? There's my little chunk of alabaster white that we're going to have alabaster colors rolling, or canes rolling up on the outside. Thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate having you. Just heating it more and more, building the temperature into the color so that the clear doesn't overheat. I'll come over here and cool down the clear. Oh, yeah, good question. How do I know how hot it is? Well, I go a lot of times by just reaction. You see, if I stop turning, it starts to slump a bit. I can feel that in the resistance of the turn as I'm turning it, and I can see it move around and respond to me. So it's more about what I know is evenly heated by the way it acts. And when I come out, I'm constantly assessing to see if I'm ready for it to be blown out. For instance, right now I can see it's very clear and evenly heated. If I just put a skin on the side, you see it start to, all of a sudden the color starts to show up again. I'm gonna blow, and you'll see a bubble fill out into my gather. This is a pretty cool color, huh? It just goes from like clear when it's hot, and as soon as you start touching it with a colder steel tool, it just goes right back to that opal white.